Hi, everyone. This is Jeff Clark of the new Paydirt Prospector newsletter. I'm in beautiful Vancouver, snowy Vancouver, at the Metals Investor Forum, and I have some companies here I'd like to talk with today. One of which is Blackwolf Copper and Gold. This is the CEO, Morgan Lekstrom. Morgan, thanks for joining me. We always want to talk about the exciting projects, right? But first, it's always about people. So first, Morgan, actually tell the audience a little bit about your background. You have some interesting background that lends to making this company get off the ground pretty nicely.
Yeah, wow. Thanks for having me on here as well. My background, I started in the mining space when I was about 22. Started running projects, engineering projects, management projects. My background's in electrical and automation originally. I saw a bit of a gap in the space that in projects between communications with executive and with the people on the ground and on trades and engineers. And at 24, I was recruited and went to Freeport in Indonesia, Grasberg, ran a fair-sized team there, and went over to Oyu Tolgoi in Mongolia, which is another huge monster mine being built, and spent a number of years there, put a mine into production in Africa and Ghana, spent a couple of years there. A little bit of work in and out of the grain space with a Saudi company, now a Canadian company. Built a grain terminal. So my background is really, boots on the ground and getting it done. Understanding all the different aspects of building projects and mines. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I have started property development companies and sold them, and I got a beautiful little 5-year-old too. So that's all about me. I mean, I've been in the capital markets for 2.5 years, and I've had the fortune of working with some great people, and now I work with Frank Justra, Rob McLeod, Andy Bowery, and I don't think you can get much better.
Yeah, you took the next question right out of my mouth. Who the backers are of these companies? There's some serious backers that are interested and investing in Blackwolf.
Yeah, I mean, Frank, if you saw on our Friday SETI filing, Frank bought another 1 million shares in the market. I bought shares in the market. Everyone.
And he was already a large shareholder.
Yeah, over 13, now probably like 14+%.
Yeah.
When I first met Frank and, sat with him and Rob and Sean Kuhn and Andy, they asked me what I thought of the company, and I told them, and I said, well, what do you think? Why are you investing? And they said, because there's a ton of exploration upside, but you're backstopped by a VMS deposit that can grow significantly. Like your value is there. You can't take that away, right? Whether we're looking to expand the value. So that's why, Frank took a significant part in our last financing as well.
So tell us about that VMS deposit, copper, gold, already has a resource up in Alaska though. Is this going to be a focus of the company? And if so, what are the plans you think this year for Niblack?
Yeah, it's funny you say up in Alaska, and I always like that people are like, oh, you're in Alaska. It's super far north. We're actually about halfway down British Columbia. We're in the bottom of the Panhandle. The Prince of Wales Island is directly across from Ketchikan, and if you on the map, if you drew a line, you'd look at Stewart, BC. So on tidewater, yes. Fully accessible, yes. Fully built underground, yes. 1.2 kilometers there, 4 by 5 meters. That's a significant capital we don't have to put into it. 6 million tons. It was 10 when we got it. I know everyone's like, how does that happen? How did it go down? we put more realistic constraints on the resource. We wanted to make it more realistic, but we do know now through a new geological understanding, through some holes that were drilled a number of years ago, that it's highly expandable. It was once thought. I think I was talking to you about this earlier, but it was once thought to be cut off. We just started putting all the data together here recently. And we're like, wait, hold on. All these different lenses that we were theorizing on, they drilled them like 30 years ago. Why haven't we done that? Yeah. And so, I mean, that was when copper meant nothing.
Right. So the plan would first be to drill it, to expand it and grow it so that it can be a bigger copper producer than it otherwise would be. Is that the plan, or? So
it's kind of a twofold plan. One side of it is we're studying how to feed a centralized mill. So that centralized mill is in Kitsault, BC, fully permitted mill site, unbuilt. But we're looking at this with a bunch of different companies is how you feed one site. So that reduces potential capex, sharing of OpEx costs. Like, this is a tough industry to raise capital in, especially when you don't have critical mass to build. A lot of great companies out there with $500 million MPVs, and $300 million capex, but they're a $20 million company. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
No, so we're getting creative. That's the one aspect. The other aspect for Niblack is that the resource really lives in what's called the lookout and the trio zone. And that zone is only about 1.5 of what we think there's 7 lenses to this, 7 different shoots in the VMS.
Okay.
So not only is it copper and gold, which, the average, I think the equivalent grade is about 3% copper equivalent.
Yeah, wow.
But there's significant silver and zinc there. So you kind of have this leverage play in a resource that you have gold goes, good. Copper goes, good. But it's a real gold and copper. It truly is highly focused on gold and copper with a zinc credit.
And what can we see this year at Niblack? Do you have a plan yet, or is that plan still being generated?
Plan's still being formulated right now, but we are looking to get out there in the really near future. A lot of the Golden Triangle companies, because we do have projects in the Golden Triangle, are constrained by weather, right? It snows a lot. You're snowmobiling by October. And for us, being where we are, we can get in there much earlier. We can almost work. We could work all year round, but I don't like people working over Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you want to be on an island camp or do you want to be at home?
Right.
We'd rather do that. But yeah, so we're looking at getting out there in the very near future. I mean, there's some of the grades that came out of there were spectacular. Like 44 meters of 2% copper and 3 grams gold. Like that, to put that into perspective, that would be the equivalent of like 180 meters of 0.8.
Yeah. So
copper equivalent. That's
100 gram meters. Yeah, right.
Right? That's
good.
Pretty good.
And then you have 2 other projects. So can you tell us just briefly about those 2 and what might be coming there or what the progress is there?
Yeah, so the Harry property, we call it, and it's the name of it. It was the old Harry mine. It was discovered by a guy named Harry.
Yeah.
Funny enough, back when we named things after ourselves. And we made a significant gold discovery there this year. We drilled a small program, 1,800 meters. We're fully funded now to go back out there and expand on it. But what was really neat is that we were focused on this little pocket of the property. It's 4 kilometers long, and we have just like the first 100 meters of it. And we come down and we start sampling and we see all these different shoots now. And we're like, okay, well, hold on. We had high grade gold here, like 300 grams per ton, 277 grams per ton. We're like, oh, okay, something's pulling. We're near Boost Jack. We're right next to Premier, one of the highest grade producers in North America for years. So ice melted away and we just got all these outcrops. So we're planning a 5,000 meter program there probably in June.
Q2?
So, yeah, in June.
Yeah. Okay.
Ideally June.
Okay.
So when you talk about catalysts, you have Niblack in the near future, high grade copper gold. You have high grade gold discovery that we can now start expanding on, that we've now identified 3 kilometers of targets and trend.
Wow.
And we have the Can2 property, which I find super interesting. It's like outcropping vein. It's like Star Trek, the undiscovered country. Like this is on the Alaska side of the Golden Triangle where people just didn't think anything is. We put 2 holes into it this year, 2 only. We have a really good geological understanding of that now, but because of the time of year and snow, our focus is really going to be expanding the value of the company through Niblack right now.
Okay.
And then get back to Harry and see how the market reacts. It's a tough market to raise money. We have $5.5 million in the bank. So we're sitting in a pretty good position.
That's great. Great. Well, lots of interesting developments potentially in 2024 for the company, right? So,
yeah. I mean, everyone always says, the most common saying in this space I find is, we're undervalued. No, you're being valued exactly where the market thinks you are.
You're right.
Now, build value.
Right. Very good. Well put. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me here, Morgan, at Metals Investor Forum. And thank you for watching. I'm Jeff Clark at the Paydirt Prospector.